Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to all of our friends on Facebook and on YouTube. Want to thank you all for joining us, and if you're not here with us, does everyone here have a Mita worksheet? Right, so we have Mita worksheets, so I'll hand them out. And here you go. Thank you so much, Pascal. Thank you. And here you go. Okay, so I'm just going to explain, and then I'll. So this Mita worksheet for all of my friends out there. If you don't have a copy of this, I'll happily email you one. If you just send me an email, I'll happily send it to you so you can have it with you for each of these classes. It's a private document. You don't have to share it. It's not homework. It gives you an opportunity to just either take notes through class, but really after class, to clarify your definition of this trait, to introspect for a moment or two on where you're holding in this trait, and then put practical work. What are your plans and how you want to accomplish? What do you want to become with this trait? And then what do you want to accept upon yourself? Very practical acceptance for your future. So with that, we're going to continue where we left off last week. Now, we spoke about the power of speech. We spoke about how speech can be used to destroy. Speech can be used to build. And we went through, I'm just going to review a little bit, because last week our video feed got cut off, so we're going to try to make up for it today. So we said as follows. There are many different ways, in fact 11 different ways, that we can use speech in a positive way. Number one, we said, was through words of Torah. And that is the greatest, most valuable use of our words, of our speech, to say words of Torah. That a person, when you study Torah, our sages tell us, the best thing when we learn Torah, we don't just read it with our eyes. We speak it with our mouth, because we want to live it. We want to bring it to life. Prayer. It's true, prayer is of the heart, but we have to say the words. And the more you say the words, the wiser you become, and the better you remember things. It's interesting, I mentioned this last week, that in a study hall in a yeshiva, very, very rarely will you find a yeshiva that has a quiet room. Instead, you'll see that yeshiva has a very, very loud room. It's called the Beit Midrash, the room of study. And that's where everyone is learning, but you learn out loud. You don't learn quietly. Why? Because the more you pronounce the words, the more you say the words, the more you review the words, the more you verbalize each word, the more it becomes real. Okay? So, we said the next is honoring with speech, each according to their honor, is the way we speak to people, to say the proper things that need to be said to each individual person. And we brought several examples of how we can go about doing that, respecting our parents, respecting those who are older than us, and using words to make those people feel honored. We spoke about the utterances, the words that we're supposed to say in our remembrances, in our prayer, the words that are a mitzvah for us to remember every single day. And any speech the next speech that we spoke about is the fifth use of our speech, is a mitzvah to bless and praise God before and after eating. And now this is where we're up to today. Before and after we eat, it is a mitzvah for us to make a blessing. Now it's interesting, a very interesting thing. I was actually planning to share a video about this in our halacha segment, in the 1 minute, 1 halacha on Fridays. I wanted to share the following idea. And that is, for every mitzvah that we do, before we shake a lulav, what do? We say the blessing and then we shake it. Every mitzvah that we do, we first make a blessing and then we perform the mitzvah. All right, before a bris, the moel says a blessing and then performs the mitzvah. Same thing before we eat. Eating is also a mitzvah, by the way, to sustain your body so that you can serve the Almighty. So first you make a blessing and then you eat. Same thing we have with the lighting of Shabbos candles, but we do it in a different order. Okay? First we light the Shabbos candles, then we say the blessing. So now you'll understand why we cover our eyes when we say that blessing. Because you're always supposed to say the blessing before you do the mitzvah. Right? But over here, because the moment you say the blessing, you're accepting upon yourself the Shabbos. You can't light the candles on Shabbos. So when are you going to do the mitzvah after making that blessing? So what we do is, our sages teach us that we light the candles. We don't enjoy the candles yet. We cover our eyes, say the blessing, and then after saying the blessing, there's light. Right? That's one of the only exceptions that we have. Always, we say the blessing and then perform the mitzvah. You think of any mitzvah that you make a blessing, before you put up a mezuzah, what do? You first say the blessing and then you post the mezuzah on the door. Okay? That's the general rule. So, there was a great story that I heard about from a rabbi. I actually heard this from him himself. So he was once teaching in a practice in New York City, for professionals, and there was like a lunch and learn that he would teach every week. And 1 week he gets there and they're still in the middle of the meeting in the boardroom. So he figured, he brings his own lunch anyway. He's going to eat quickly in the, not in the waiting area, but by the receptionist's desk. There was an extra desk there. He said, "I'm going to sit there and I'm going to say my blessing." So the lady, the receptionist, was Indian. So she says, when she heard him say his blessing, she says, "I know you think you're so special because you say a blessing before you eat. We also say a blessing before we eat." So he's thinking, you know what? She's right. She's got a good point. And then something came to his mind. And he said to her, "But we say a blessing also after we eat." All right, and that nobody does. Because think about this, right? A child wants a candy. So what does a child do? He says, "Grandma, please, 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 please." You're like, okay, you give them the candy. What do? They turn around, they run away. Hey, wait. Thank you. Right? We want to eat, so we say praise. We give praise to the Almighty, and we thank Him for the food. What's about the thank you after? Right? So, that's the way, yes, when we do a mitzvah, we say the blessing first, then we do the mitzvah, then we perform the mitzvah, and then, after eating, we make a blessing after. Now, just as a quick little pointer, because we're talking about blessings for food, the Talmud says that kol hanehene min haolam ve'eno mevarech tchila ki'ilu gozlo. Okay? Anybody who enjoys from this world, takes pleasure from this world, and doesn't say a blessing first, as if he's stolen. It's as if he's stolen. So the question is, right? So the question is, why is it considered as if he's stealing? All you're doing is enjoying your food or any pleasure of this world. Why do you need to make that blessing first? Why do you need to make that? I work hard, I earn a living. What's the big deal? Right? So now I'm enjoying the food that I earned, I paid my taxes, now what do you want from me? Why is it as if I'm a thief if I enjoy from this world without making a blessing first? So I was thinking about this, and I came up with something. I've shared it in the past, I think in this class or one of the other classes for sure. I was thinking as follows. Who are you stealing from? You know who you're stealing from? You're stealing from yourself. You're stealing from yourself. Why did God give you that pleasure? He wants you to enjoy. Why did God tell us to make a blessing? You know why? So that you can really, really, really enjoy it. See, what's the problem? So I was once sitting and having lunch with someone. He says to me, you know something? He says, you know, you're not enjoying your food. I said, what do you mean I'm not enjoying my food? He says, you're eating too fast.
Sorry, I'm not sure.
I'm competing with Siri. Right? So, I'm eating my food. You're eating it too fast. You're not enjoying your food. You have to take the time to enjoy it. Mm-hmm. But you know what our sages tell us? If you want to really enjoy it, stop and realize how privileged you are that you have this food. That's the purpose of a blessing. The purpose of a blessing, of course, is to thank God, but to feel that you are blessed by having what you have. And if you don't say that blessing first, a lightning bolt is not going to come down and strike you. But you're going to miss out on an opportunity to be happy. You're going to miss out on an opportunity to feel how special it is for you to have this special treat, whatever it is. So that's why, if you think about this, and we're in the fifth category of the things that we say, that we use, the words that we could use positively, is the saying of blessings. The incredible power in saying blessings is the key to our happiness. If we say blessings, doesn't mean that we just utter the words. That means that we feel a connection with the words. We feel a connection and we're thanking God for what we're about to experience. Guess what? That's someone who's living life to the fullest. Today, the biggest problem that we have, and why we have an entire population of miserable people, is because we don't stop to feel how gifted we are. We don't stop to appreciate what we have. So a blessing is not something you say. A blessing is something you feel. Now, of course you utter those words, but more than just saying it, you have to feel it. Okay? So that's the idea. So, the story that we mentioned earlier is about the importance also of saying a blessing after. We're not like children. We're not like children that just we're not like children. We're not like children that just take the food and run. Please, 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 and then run. What we do is we say the blessing first, we enjoy it, and then we of course say thank you. Okay, the next thing. Our great sage of the previous generation said an amazing thing. Okay, Rav Shach, he passed away in the early 2000s. An unbelievable man. He said that when you say Birkat Hamazon, when you say the grace after meals, he says, take it easy. Don't rush. Read every word. Inside. Right? And if you don't understand it in Hebrew, say it in English, say it in French, say it in Spanish, whatever language you understand. Right? Because, our sages say this. Our sages say that someone who reads the words of Birkat Hamazon, of grace after meals, with the proper intention, meaning with deliverance, with focus, with intention, is guaranteed tremendous success in all of their endeavors. There's a story that I heard recently about a man that was on that went to a rabbi. He said, Rabbi, I'm having a lot of troubles in my livelihood, my job, my income is very challenging. What should I do? See, he said, every time you say the grace after meals, say every single word inside. Reading it from inside. Don't say it by heart. Okay. So, for a few months he started doing that, and it started working very nicely. So what happened is that he was once on a plane, and on the plane he didn't have his prayer book with him. He didn't have his prayer book. So what is he going to do now? See, he said it by heart. The rabbi told him, never ever, don't allow even one opportunity for you to say it without a prayer book. Always say it inside. He said it by heart. And then he came to the rabbi. He says, Rabbi, it's not going so well. The rabbi is, did you say it with inside every single time? He says, no, I was actually on a plane and I had to say it by heart. She says, if you know it by heart, why don't you write it down and then read it? Right? Yes?
If you don't have your prayer book with you, can you just say thank you, God, for...
Yes.
Or thank you, Hashem, for all the fruits of my labor and for giving us food?
Absolutely. And we should say praise, but there are special words that are sages with their incredible Ruach HaKodesh, divine inspiration, instituted certain words that pull certain powers. Yes, of course we should say our own thank you in our own words, and that's fantastic. We should do that.
I haven't seen that in my prayer book.
Any of those blessings?
No, I haven't seen those, the after.
Okay, so I will show it to you after class. I will show you exactly, if you pass it to me on the art scroll, the one which is over there, the brown and the red. The art scroll, yes, perfect. And you have on page, thank you so much. We have on page number 184 is the Grace After Meal in the art scroll Siddur. And on the pages following that, you'll have all the blessings for before you eat and after, all the different blessings. But if you need, I'll happily print it out for you. All right. If you want the blessings before, the 6 blessings before, and the 3 different blessings after, depending on what you ate. Okay, and the different pre-blessings have different post-blessings. Okay. Either way, any pleasure that we enjoy from this world, we have a blessing for. And that we're supposed to use our words. We're supposed to use our words to express that appreciation. So you're at the ocean. There's a blessing for that. You see an old friend you haven't seen in 30 days or longer. You have a blessing for that. Right? You see someone who's very, very smart. There's a blessing for that. You see a president or a king or a queen. You say a blessing for that. You see a midget or a someone who's very, very tall. There's a blessing for that. You see anything that you see that is special. There's a blessing for it. There are hundreds and hundreds of blessings right after those pages that I was telling you. Now I'll read you a few of them. Okay? And on page, in that same prayer book, we have, okay. Where is it here? Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. Verse for okay. We have a okay. Okay. So we have 6 different blessings we said for when we eat different foods. We have a blessing for when we smell good fragrances. We have a blessing for flowers and trees that smell good. We have a special blessing for smelling herbs, grasses. We have a special blessing for fruits that smell good and nuts. We have a special blessing for fixing a mezuzah, like we mentioned. These are for specific mitzvahs, for building a protective railing around one's roof. We have a blessing for taking challah, right? That's the part that you take out from the bread that you make. There's a blessing for seeing a lightning, for seeing a thundering. There's a blessing for a rainbow in the sky. There's a blessing for experiencing an earthquake or a comet, seeing a comet, exponentially lofty mountains, large rivers. Upon seeing an ocean is a different blessing. Seeing beautiful people, trees, or fields, another blessing. For seeing strange-looking people or animals, you have another blessing. I can continue going. Seeing an outstanding secular scholar, there's a blessing. For seeing an outstanding Torah scholar, another blessing. I can keep on going. Pages and pages of things. You have a successful deal, right, that comes through in business. There's a blessing for that. You have a terrible tragedy. There's a blessing for that. Every single thing. Why? Because these things don't happen in a vacuum. These things, thank you so much. These things happen, they're designed for us. Yes?
Rabbi, you'd have to carry your prayer book with you and have it open 24/7.
They make this in pocket size.
That's incredible. You can hardly move out of your house without,
But you know what? You know what a happy person is?
Yeah, I'm a very happy
I know.
person.
Because
But
you're
I
grateful.
say-
I always hear nice things from you.
But I do say thank you, but I don't have a prayer
Okay,
for
so
it.
again,
I make up
but
my own, but
that's don't worry. Don't worry. You're in the right direction. Don't worry. Right?
You can put them all on your iPhone.
The idea is that's right. There is an app for that. There is an app for that. Yeah. After class, we'll talk about the blessing. There's actually a blessing app.
blessing.
Yes. Okay. So any pleasure that we enjoy from this world, we have the opportunity to use our speech, our words from our mouth, to use them effectively. Okay. The next thing, category number 6, which is the blessing of a Kohen.
So we're still on speech from last week?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
What?
Blessing of a Kohen. Are you a Kohen? You are? Look at that. We can get a blessing from Mr. Korn every day. Every day we expect a blessing. Thank you.
What about for a Levite?
A Levite can also get a blessing from a Kohen.
That's what I am.
So the blessing of a Kohen, it's an interesting thing. Our sages tell us that the Kohen himself doesn't have the power to bless. The Kohen has the ability to put God's name on people, and God will bless. V'samu et shmi al bnei Yisrael, v'ani avarachem. God tells the Kohen, you have the ability to put my name upon the people, but the blessing comes from God. Right? The blessing comes directly from God. So, there's another thing that our sages tell us, that never take a blessing in vain. No, not in vain, but don't take it lightly. Don't take a blessing lightly. Anybody says to you, have a great day. That's a blessing. Amen. Thank you. Right? You too. Right? Now, there's an interesting story I'll tell you. In Jerusalem, there's a custom that when someone gives you a blessing, have a good day, you reply back with a greater blessing in return. So, if someone blesses you, have a good day, you say, have a good week. Right? Someone blesses you, have a good week, have a good month. Someone blesses you, have a good month, have a good year. Right? Have a good year, have a good life. It's like it's a blessing that you give back more than you received.
So if you say good Shabbos, that's a blessing. But
that's true.
But what they're just going to say good Shabbos to you. There's no greater,
true.
There's not a greater blessing than that.
Well, you can say good Shabbos and have enjoy your cholent. So it was the week before Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah was on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and it was Saturday night prior, and one of the great sages was approached by one of his congregants in Jerusalem, who wished him have a good week, and he said back to him, what does he say back? Have a good year. And then the rabbi realized that his blessing was less than that of the man. Why? Because the year ended on Tuesday. So he gave him a smaller blessing. So he ran after him to ask him forgiveness that he gave him a smaller blessing, contrary to the custom of Jerusalem, and gave him, he should have a blessed life, and he should have. So You see, it's a big thing. Blessings is a very, very important thing. Now, what's this power of blessing? We see by Jacob. Jacob gave all his children before he passed away. In the end of Genesis, he gave a blessing to each of his children. And what's very interesting is that if you look at the blessing he gave to two of his children, it seems that they weren't exactly such great blessings. It was a blessing, but it wasn't a blessing. I mean, he really reprimanded them. He beat them up. He's like, really? You guys take arms and take them in your hand and you beat people? Because they avenged their sister's rape from the city of Shechem, which is today known as Nablus, and they killed out the whole city, right? To avenge their sister's them violating their sister. So Jacob wasn't too happy, and Jacob gives it to them.
But wasn't he mad at them up because they
used trickery?
Because they used trickery.
Right. And he tears them apart about that. Everyone gets a blessing, and here he says to you guys use trickery. And he lashes out at them. So our sages tell us, not sages, my grandfather, who says it in the name of his rabbi, says the greatest blessing you can give someone is telling them with sincerity, with love, and with friendship, telling them a flaw that they have, so that they can fix it, so they can perfect their character. And they go on to say that the greatest blessing is if you really care about someone, you'll point out to them their flaw. So think about that for a second. What is a blessing? A blessing is that I'm giving you an opportunity to do what?
Never.
Nothing. I'm just putting it out there. You should be successful. Are you going to be? Do I have the power to make you successful? Do you have the power to be successful? No. It's all in the hands of the Almighty. I'm putting that goodwill out there, and hopefully God will accept it. What is? That's a blessing. A blessing is someone is putting out a goodwill out there, which is why it says that someone who is at war with someone else, so someone is having a feud, right? They have to rectify that feud because it creates a barrier for their blessings to go up. It creates a barrier for their prayers to be accepted. That's why we make peace. It's very interesting that at the end of our Amidah, we have 19 different blessings that we say. What's the last one? Peace. Sim shalom tova uvracha. Bring peace. Make peace among us. Why? Because at the end of the day, if we don't have peace, our prayers don't go anywhere. That's what we need in order to be successful. We need to have peace. So what we're doing in our with the words that we use is that we need to recognize that every blessing is important. Every single blessing is important, and we also need to recognize that that the blessings we give other people, right, just purify our mouths. You see someone, show them that you're happy to see them. Show them that there's a joy to see them. Right? That they're worth something. Every person. Compliment people. It says, Ish kifi mehalala. You want to know what a person is? See what they praise. See how they praise. Right? See who and what they praise. It's an amazing thing. Ish kifi mehalala. King Solomon tells us this in Proverbs. You want to know what a person is? See what they praise.
Can you give an example?
Sure. We all know people, hopefully we don't, but I'm sure some of us do, know people who are always critical about everything. They don't have a positive thing to say to anybody. That's who they are. Then there are other people, they always see the good in other people. That's who they are. They always see the positive. Ish kifim. You want to tell what a person is? See what they praise and or the opposite. You can tell a person by what they praise and by how they praise. Now, you can also tell the quality of a person by how they praise. There are people who all they praise is people's, oh, this guy has the nicest car, this one has the nicest house, and this one has so much money. Material things. So what do you tell from them? You tell they're a materialistic person, right? There are other people. They're like, oh, they're so kind, and they're so gentle, and they're so right. You want to, right? You can tell a person by what they praise. All right, we're good on this. So now, using our speech for blessings to give blessings to other people. By the way, don't ever, the Talmud tells us Al tia birchat hediot kala beinecha. The blessing of a simpleton shouldn't be taken lightly. A blessing of a simpleton. That's who? That's anybody. Just a Joe Schmo. You meet someone in the street and they say, so great to see you. May you live and be well. That's a blessing. Don't take it lightly. Say amen and give them a blessing back. Okay? So that's using a blessing with our words. But there's another thing. It says that anybody who prays for someone else, he benefits first. Now we mentioned this, it was just a few weeks ago. That what does that mean? If you know someone who's looking to find a mate to get married to, you know someone who's looking for a job, you know someone who is struggling with a certain illness, and you're also struggling with that same thing, whatever that may be, you know what you should do? Pray for them. What do you pray for them? I need help. Pray for them. Because the Talmud tells us there's a promise. When you pray for someone else, you'll benefit first. So what does the Talmud say? Well, then everybody's going to go running around finding someone to pray for. Right? Just so that they can benefit. Right? It's a good ploy. If I pray for someone else to find a job, then I'll find the job first. So I'll just go around and try to find people to pray for. So what does the Talmud answer? Go right ahead. Go right ahead. Go pray for other people.
More the merrier.
Exactly. Try it. Test it. See that it works. Right? It's an incredibly powerful thing. I heard that there was an organization that put couples, means they partnered people who were challenged with the same issues, whatever it was, health or otherwise, and they swapped names and they prayed for each other instead of praying for themselves. Because the problem is we're all busy, self-indulged. We're in our own world, self-absorbed, right? And this gives us an opportunity to be selfless. Go pray for someone else, even if at the back of your mind there may be something which is selfish. It's just so that I can benefit first. Go pray for them, right? Practice being selfless. It's a great exercise. Find someone else to pray for. And you know who's going to benefit first? You will. Right? An incredibly powerful thing. That's what we say to the mourners.
Yeah.
But after someone passes away, we say the word zichorna livracha, that their memory should be a blessing. Right? We want to add a blessing to them. Add a blessing to them. And if someone is a righteous person, we say zecher tzadik livracha. Right? The memory of a righteous person should be for blessing. When someone is alive, right? We say nero yair. His light should be bright. Right? When someone's living, you say, oh. The idea is to add blessings. Use your words to build, not to destroy. Okay? We should always have blessings on our lips, and we should always be able to share wonderful, positive things with other people. Okay. The next thing that we can use our words for, number 7, is to say the Kriyat Shema. Shema is the mission statement of the Jewish people. The mission statement. You know, it's very important for every company, every business, every human being, like we spoke about when we talked about the topic of order, that a person should have a personal mission statement. Why? So that you know what you're getting up in the morning for. As Jews, what do we get up in the morning for? Mission statement. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Right? I can say the full verse. I'll say it with Hashem's name. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Don't you say Modi Ani Lefanecha first?
Yeah, for sure. But I'm saying that for sure we start our day with Modani. We can't say that Shema till we wash our hands. And you can look at 1 minute, 1 halacha for the instructions on how to wash your hands. But the idea is that this is our mission statement, and we're declaring our relationship with God. We're declaring God's oneness in the world. We're declaring that God is the creator, and we're declaring that He is our God, and we have no other master on top of us. Yes.
Don't you thank God for giving you another day of life?
Yes. That's the way we start our day, with Modeh Ani Lefanecha,
Oh.
right? But even after that, right? We're supposed to say Shema at least twice a day, right? Are you doing a live broadcast?
About to.
Can you not do it because it's killing my. All right. Oh, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so we're back live here, and thank you for your patience, our friends on Facebook. I apologize. Okay, the next thing that we could... Did I answer your question? Okay, great. So number 8, the 8th thing that we can... So Shema, just an important thing. Shema, in this siddur, do you have the siddur at home?
Not that one.
Okay.
I don't think I have to.
All right, so, but on this it will be on page 80... Page 90. Page 90. Okay? And what we do is that we can say Shema, we can say all of our prayers in any language, but the first verse of Shema, it's best if we say it in Hebrew. Okay? Even if you don't understand it, and then you say it in English. But our mission statement, we say in Shema Yisrael, we say it in the actual words, if we can, to the best of our ability. Okay. The 8th thing we could use the power of speech for in our daily lives is for speaking of mitzvahs, speaking of the laws of the Torah, right? A mitzvah.
Are you studying?
There's a mitzvah to not argue, but to ask a Torah scholar. To give someone criticism, right? It says "Ocheach tocheach et amitecha." You should. Let's use. I'll translate it lightly, but you should criticize constructively your fellow man. Okay, amitecha, which means it's more of like a friend or someone you're close with.
That goes back to the blessings about people's shortcomings.
Right. Okay, but you know what? We all have blind spots. And we would hate for us to have something in our blind spot and not see it. Right? Sometimes our arrogance or our anger could be in our blind spot. Many people who are angry don't see that they're angry. They think that they're just normal. It's a normal reaction. They don't realize what they look like. Till someone points it out to them, you look like a lunatic when you're angry. Right? You should calm it down, right? But now, the Talmud obligates us, the Torah obligates us to give constructive criticism. But the Talmud explains this very clearly. Talmud says, just like there's a mitzvah to give constructive criticism, if you know someone will accept your criticism, there's a mitzvah not to say a word if you know they will not accept what you're saying. Think of how much good that can do for the world. If you know that your criticism of someone will not be heard or accepted, there's a special mitzvah for you not to say a word. So what's the question that everyone asks? Well, how do I know? How will I know if they will accept or not? Well, guess what? If you don't know them well enough to know if they'll accept or not, or how to say it to them in a way that they will, you have no business criticizing them. The only time you have a mitzvah is if you know that they will accept. And then it's a mitzvah. And if they don't accept, then perhaps you could have said it nicer. Or perhaps you have to know this person. Perhaps you need to a little bit better before we say things words of criticism. And there's another mitzvah to bear witness right? These are just general mitzvahs that we have of. Right? Why? Why did they have to do that? They didn't have to. But what it's teaching us is that everybody, when you say something nice to someone about their spouse, they feel good. Yeah, it's my spouse, it's my husband, or it's my wife, right? It gives you that special feeling, and it's a mitzvah for a person. You know what? It says that regarding a bride and a groom, is a mitzvah to say to the groom, "Kala na'ah v'chasuda," that the bride is so beautiful, right? And she's so. There are different translations to what those words mean, but right, she's so beautiful and she's so kind. Why? Because it adds love, it adds affection, it adds a closeness between them. Oh, look, everyone thinks that she's so wow. They get even more excited, right? To say kind words. It's a mitzvah in the Torah, by the way. It's a mitzvah to make a bride and groom happy. To sick people, to go visit sick people, to encourage poor people, someone who's in pain, someone who's in a struggle, to encourage them, to use your words to eulogize the deceased is also mitzvah, right? And to make peace between people, to use your words to make peace. It says about Aaron, there's a quality known as a peace lover, right? I'm not talking about the people who go and demonstrate by the UN, or certainly not the people in the UN. But there's a concept of peace lovers. Okay? Now, anybody, if I went around the room here and I asked all of you, everybody would say, yeah, I love peace. But what did Aaron, the great holy high priest, teach us about peace? That it's not enough to love peace, you have to pursue peace. Ohev shalom, virodef shalom. He ran after the opportunities for peace. It wasn't enough for him to just say, yeah, peace is great. He ran after the opportunities to seek peace. When he saw that people were in a feud, he ran after them to make peace. How did he do it? So just give a few examples.
Oh, my truck.
Yeah. I'll see you tomorrow at 7.
Oh, thank you.
Feel better. So it says that Aaron would find out that there's 2 families that were in a feud. So he would go over to one of them and he would say, I don't know how to say this to you, but I met with this other family that you've been, and they feel so terrible. They feel so awful, but they're so embarrassed. They don't know what to do with themselves. You're like, really? That's what they said? You have no idea. They know that what they did was wrong. And then he'd go to the other one and he'd tell them the same thing. And then they'd make peace. Okay, 10 years later they'd find out that it never happened. Right? 10 years later they're sitting at a barbecue and like, you remember that time you were embarrassed to tell me? He's like, me? Right? No, but either way, it starts all over again. Right? No. But the idea is if you love peace enough, you don't just love it, you pursue it. Right? We all say, you know what? That's not my struggle. That's not my problem. You see 2 people in your congregation who are having a dispute with one another. People say it's not my business. No. If you really love peace, you go and pursue it. And you use your words, use the power of your words to go and find a way to make peace between them. And it's not only between two families, but between a couple, a husband and a wife. Initiate. It's a great thing. Take the initiation when you're greeting other people. Okay, number 9. Number 9 is to answer Amen. Using your words to answer Amen is one of the most powerful words in Judaism. It's even to the point where you're not supposed to say Amen in vain after a blessing. When someone makes a blessing and you hear their blessing, you say Amen. You don't say Amen for your own blessing. Right? But you say Amen for anybody else's blessing. You hear someone else's blessing, you say Amen. You did a mitzvah. Right? What did you do? It's as if you said the blessing. Why? What is a blessing? A blessing is you're giving glory to God. You're saying, thank you, God. That's what they're saying. Now that you're saying, yes, Amen, you're adding yourself to that blessing. Right? Right? So it's as if you said the blessing. You get the reward for that blessing as if you said it. It's an amazing thing. And then there are several parts of our prayer that are a special mitzvah to use our words aside for regular prayer, but to say Baruch Hu, Baruch Shmo, blessed is He and blessed is His name. Right? We say Yehei Shmei Rabbah as part of Kaddish. We say Baruch Hu and we say Kiddush, or saying Kaddish if one needs to say Kaddish. Havdalah. All of these different parts, or Hallel, all of these different parts of prayer are extremely, extremely powerful and a great, great use of our words. Okay? Number 10 is to speak praise of the righteous and the opposite for evildoers. Right? Those who are righteous, to praise them. And those who are evil, to do the opposite. Now it's an interesting thing. It's not only about people. It's about actions. Right? When there's a good action, when there's something that you can do, because what happens is that when you say positive things about other people, it inspires you to become that positive person. So when you see the good in other people and you praise it, it has an impact on you. It has an impact on you. Okay. So those who do evil, and you talk negatively against them, right? And it's in fact one of the times that we see in halacha, in the laws of Lashon Hara, is that you're allowed to say about someone a negative deed that they do, if there's a benefit to keep someone else away from there. So for example, your children. You want your children to learn not to do things like them, right? Whoever that is. Right? That's a mitzvah, to teach them to stay away from bad. Right? That's an important thing. Okay? We're good? Another good use of... And then, the 11th use of speech in a powerful way is to remember the loss of Jerusalem. To mourn Jerusalem. Right? The destruction of the temple. Right? It's true that we feel today... We're so comfortable in Houston, Texas. Life is beautiful. Life is perfect. You know, I have a job, or I have my family, I have my house, I have my career, I have my this, I have my that. And we're all comfortable, we're complacent. But the truth is we are homeless. Imagine you see someone under the bridge, and they're dancing. You're like, what are you dancing? Or like, what do you mean? I have a house. You have a house. You're sleeping under a bridge. Right? Something would be wrong with that picture. What's with us? Here we are, homeless, without our home in Jerusalem, and we're all happy. Right? We have to remember every day, with our words, Im eshkachech Yerushalayim tishkach yemini. If we forget Jerusalem, we forget the loss of Jerusalem, we should forget our right hand. Right? Tidbak lishoni lechikim lo eskerechi. My tongue should be stuck if I don't remember our loss. It's a very, very, very powerful thing. It's important for us to remember every single day that we have tremendous power with our words. Tremendous, tremendous power. Now, there's some other things that I want to share here. If we have a few minutes, we have a few minutes here. Yeah. Okay. There's something about not interrupting someone else's learning. Right? It's a very, very powerful presence of God when someone is learning Torah. So if someone's learning Torah, you should do everything, every person should do everything in their ability not to interrupt them from studying Torah. Right? So, even if it's important, unless it's life-threatening, even if it's important, you don't stop someone in the middle of learning. Unless it's very, very, very important. Right? So if you see two people sitting and they're studying Torah, excuse me, what time is it? Why did you need to disturb the Torah study? Okay? That's again, use of our words. It says, and a very, very amazing idea in the Mishnah. It says someone who's in the middle of learning Torah and sees a beautiful tree and praises the tree. Ma na'eh ilan zo. How beautiful is this tree? You know what it says about such a person? Should be put to death.
Is that disrespect to God?
What? I'm praising God, right? So I'm in the middle of learning. But I'm praising God. So it's the equivalent of the following. Imagine, when the President of the United States, whoever the president is, goes to see the Queen of England, which usually happens once or twice every presidency. So there's a tradition, they bring a gift, right? So imagine they bring a gift, and it's an amazing, amazing gift. But all the Queen praises is the wrapping. Right? They bring this expensive or beautiful gift, a crown, a gold crown with this, with jewels, studded with jewels, and it's an incredible masterpiece. And all they do, instead of saying thank you for this beautiful work of art or this, whatever it is, they're praising, wow, this wrapping paper is just amazing, right? Right? It's incredible, and the bow on top is just magnificent, right? You can imagine the person bringing this gift would not be so flattered, to say the least. Imagine God. He gave us the greatest gift in the universe, in the Torah. The greatest gift in the universe. And the tree, which is the wrapping paper, is what we praise. Right? The greatest gift in the world is the Torah. Why are we praising you should praise the wrapping paper in the right time. But in middle of learning Torah is not the right time. So what does it mean when it says you should be put to death? The idea is that you're so wrong on your priorities. Right? It's like it's a lifeless value system. The highest value we have in Judaism is the study of Torah. The absolute highest. The Talmud Torah keneged kulam. The study of Torah is bigger than everything together. What we're doing here every week at 7:30 on Monday nights is the study of Torah is more powerful than anything in the world. And I commend all of you for coming here to study Torah and traveling 70 miles back and forth. An amazing thing. Right? For what? For studying Torah. There's nothing more valuable in the entire world than the study of Torah. Right? So, if someone is studying Torah and someone interrupts them for no reason, there's a terrible punishment for that. Right? That's what our sages tell us is not to interrupt someone's study of Torah. Another thing is not to talk in the middle of prayer. Right? Not to talk in the middle of prayer. There are many, many great times to talk. Not in the middle of prayer. So if someone comes to you, if there's a way for you to do, to deflect without hurting their feelings. There's no mitzvah to, you know what? As much as this is a beef that I have in general with people shushing in shul. Right? Right? I think, personally, they're causing more harm, spiritual harm, than good. Great, everybody knows you're righteous now, right? But there's no reason to embarrass someone. Embarrassing someone in public is a biblical prohibition of do not murder. Speaking in shul is not respectful, but it's not murder. Embarrassing someone in public is very severe, right? So, a person should know not to talk, but still, if someone is talking, find a creative, sweet, kind way, perhaps later, perhaps find a way to say it that doesn't insult them and doesn't hurt them. Okay. Next is not to say a blessing for no reason. Okay. So if a person is just randomly saying a blessing, we're not supposed to say Baruch Atah Hashem, saying God's real name, right? We say Hashem, which means the name. We're not supposed to, right? You're not supposed to say it in vain. Right? Anytime we say Hashem's name, it should be either in a blessing or in a prayer, but not just loosely. We just shouldn't say God's name in vain. Okay. So if you're saying God's name in a blessing, great. But to just use God's name in a blessing that's not for any purpose, there's no purpose in that, and that's not a good use of speech. There's another type of speech which we learned in the Talmud, in our Talmud class at 12 o'clock on Fridays. Remember? We spoke about not speaking in front of one's rabbi. Meaning, if someone who's greater than you is in the presence, in your presence, you're not allowed to speak in front of them. Okay? Meaning, in a way that's disrespectful. For example, if I was sitting in the same room as my rabbi and someone comes in and asks a question, am I allowed to answer? Not a word. I'm standing in front of a greater person than me. Right? Who am I to say anything? Right? It's a very important rule. We saw this in the Talmud, how Hannah begged for Eli, who was the great high priest at the time, to forgive her son Samuel for speaking in the presence of Eli. Right? When you had Eli, who was the high priest, and here this young boy Samuel, who was a great Torah scholar himself, speaking in the presence of someone who was so much greater than him at the time, was incorrect, and he did end up forgiving him. Okay, so if a person curses someone or blesses them in a way that others will question, okay, so cursing someone, you're not supposed to curse another person, right? It's one of the things you shouldn't do as a Jew. But also to praise someone, imagine this. Imagine you praise someone right next to their ex-partner, right? Or their ex-spouse. You say, oh, such a fine person. Really? Right? That's not the... It's great that you want to praise someone, right? But that's not the right time. That's not the right place. Find another time to give that praise, right? And of course not to praise someone in front of their haters, right? We spoke about Lashon Hara, not to speak slander, which means something which is true about someone, but negative. Or to speak something which is untrue about someone that is negative. Of course, you shouldn't do that, and there's great punishment for that. Using foul language is a terrible use of our words, of our mouth. And the Talmud brings that there are 4 different people that use their words and are not welcome in the world to come. And there are those that are flatterers, those that are liars, okay, those who don't speak the truth, and those who speak slander, slanderers, and those who are jokers. They joke, but they mock other people. Okay, and the Talmud in Sotah 42a discusses why these categories of people, why these categories of people are not welcome in God's presence, and that's because they contradict the existence of God. They contradict God's. We discussed this in great length in a different video, and we'll hopefully talk about this further in the future. And yes.
What's the difference between lying and slander? Isn't slander basically lying? No.
When you say Lashon Hara, which is slander, he's actually saying something which is truthful. I say, hey, do you know that so-and-so just stole? Not allowed to say that. Even though it's true. Right? And because it's true, it's Lashon Hara. If it wasn't true, it's Motzi Shemra. It's a different biblical prohibition. You're not allowed to lie about somebody either. Yes?
Is that considered gossip?
Yes. Yeah, that is gossip.
Even if it's true?
Well, when it's true. When it's not true, it's not gossip. It's just evil.
Well,
right?
Well, when it's not true, it's slander. When it is true, it's gossip.
I think gossip and slander may be the same thing, no?
Well, legally slander.
Legally slander, right, so that's correct. All right, we have a few more. I'm going to go through them quickly. Speaking disrespectfully to parents. It's a biblical. Now, that can be done with words or otherwise. It could be done with actions as well. But disrespecting a parent in Deuteronomy 27:16, calling someone a name. Now we know that there's a very, very spiritual concept in names, and that names are very, very powerful, and it's very, very important. Being that this is a class, so we're gonna finish up in a few minutes, a class on speech, on the power of speech. I think it's very, very important for us to just, clarify all the different things that we're supposed to and not supposed to do with our mouths. Calling someone names, not a good thing. Okay, there's very, very powerful things said about people who call people names, right? Calling someone a nickname, giving someone a name, hey shorty, right? That's not something which is it says I call him mechanesh shem chaviro, has no, someone who gives someone a nickname, obviously a derogatory nickname has no place in the world to come. So it's a very powerful thing. If you're in a dispute, not to answer back. Because what happens when does a fight start? When the second guy punches back. Right? It doesn't start when the first person's punching. Punch, punch, punch. Okay, how much can you punch a wall? Right? Eventually you stop. But when the wall punches back, or the other person punches back, now it's a fight. Right? When you see a dispute coming, don't answer back. Okay? You're not allowed to give bad advice. Right? The Torah prohibits us from giving bad advice. You're not allowed to steal one's knowledge, someone's intellect. And you're not allowed to do verbal cheating. Right? Giving someone bad advice. But what does it mean, steal one's knowledge? So imagine you're waiting for a bus, it's a cold, cold day. Right? And you want to you're by the bus stop, and you see right next to the bus stop there's a store, a little cafe or something, right? So you say, you know what, I'm going to go in the store, look around as if I want to buy something, stay in the warm store. As soon as the bus comes, I'm out, right? You're not allowed to do that. It's stealing one's thought. It's stealing one's knowledge, or so it's stealing one's intellect. Why? Because what are you doing? When they walk into that store, they say, oh, another customer, I'm going to hopefully sell something, right? And then you have no such intention. Your only reason for going in there is to stay warm or stay cool in Houston, right? So now, if you go and you say, listen, I'm really not interested in buying anything, but I want to look around and just stay a little warm. Now, they may say, no, sorry. Like there are places that, today they don't do that much because they see it's bad for business. But there used to be places that if you don't shop in our store, you can't use our bathroom. Right? Or that in gas stations, the restroom is only for customers. Today they don't do that because people get a bad taste and they don't want to come to you even when they want to be a customer. They don't want to come back there. It leaves a bad taste. But the idea is if something, you need to not use trickery. All right? We're also told not to bribe. Right?
Not to what?
Not to bribe. Not to bribe a judge, not to bribe a rabbi, not to bribe anyone. Bribery is a terrible thing. It's forbidden in the Torah, both by the giver and both by the recipient. We're not supposed to make promises, which is why I'm going to teach you two words today. Ready? Bli neder, without a promise. What many people do, they say, I'm going to come to the party. Bli neder, without a promise. Because by saying I'm coming to the party, you're saying a promise. I'm coming. And what's if you don't come? Someone doesn't keep their promise. Our word is a word. So that's why many people are accustomed to saying, Bli neder, without a promise, I will be there. Right? That doesn't mean that you're not planning to be there and I'm just saying it. It means I have full intention to be there, but without making that oath or promise commitment. There's a mitzvah in the Torah not to say the name of an idol. There's a mitzvah in the Torah not to say the name of an idol. Like JC. Why do we say those letters and not wrote me a letter speech? The rabbi who spoke, Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi, used the acronym, or not the acronym, the initials JC about 200 times. Not once did he say the full name. And this person was a little bit taken aback. He said, how would we like it if they called our leader, Moshe, M.R., Moshe Rabbeinu, right? Would we like that? So I told this individual that I would come meet with him and discuss this. And when I came, I showed him the verse in Exodus that says that the name of an idol should not be on your lips.
Because it's used as slang, too.
Right. And that it shouldn't either be. It shouldn't either be. The name of an idol, no matter what that idol is, should not be on a Jew's lips. Okay, another form of speech that we have to be careful.
I've got to start all over. Oh my gosh, I'm exhausted.
It's forbidden to not be honest in judgment. Right? You have to be 100% honest. We're all judges. You have to understand, we're all judges. One of the things we're going to talk about, maybe we'll talk about this next week, is judging people favorably. Okay? Judging people favorably. You're a judge. You know, it would be so much easier for the Mishnah to just tell us, don't judge. Right? Just don't judge people. But what's the reality? We're all judges. We're judging people. What? No.
Be honest in judging, I wrote down.
Be honest in judgment, correct. We're all judges. But judge favorably. Right? You know how we know with the trick, and we're going to talk about this next week. God willing, next week we're going to pick that as our topic. Okay? So cancel class.
I'll have to listen to it.
Yeah, I have to watch it. But we all are judging. We actually have a great book here called Two Sides of the Story. Right? We always have assumptions. We see, I saw it with my own eyes, right? So we think that it has to be true. Right? There's always something else. There's always another side to a story. I'll share with you some stories that happened to me personally when we talk about this topic, about how you need to judge someone favorably. You never know what's going on. That's by someone else. Never. You'd be surprised. Okay? So judge favorably. It says that when collecting a debt, you're not allowed to collect the debt if you know that the person is unable to repay. If you know the person is unable to repay, you're not allowed to ask him for the money, because it's only going to cause them extra. It's only going to cause them extra grief and extra pain. Right? So people have asked me, this so and so told me they want to borrow money and this and that. I know they're not going to be able to repay. So I tell them, what's the amount that you're capable of giving them just as charity? Right? And tell them it's a loan, even though you know they're not going to return it, so that at least their dignity is preserved. You're not giving them charity. You tell them it's a loan and forgive it. Right? The idea is that if you know they're not, don't give an amount that you need and you're not going to see it back. Right? It's important to know that from this video and then post it all over the internet. Look what Rabbi Wolbe said, right? But that's what the Torah tells us and the Halacha tells us, is that excessive conversation between the genders doesn't always do good. Okay? Women with women is fine, men with men is fine, but excessive conversation between man and woman can, especially if they're not married, can lead to trouble.
And we think that holds up in today's world?
Absolutely. There must be a boundary. There must be a boundary between, unless they're married. If they're married, go ahead, talk all day.
Mother and son?
Mother and son is different. We're talking about non-family, individuals. Never say things like, "Oh, I'm dead," right? Or things like that. You have to be very, very careful about the words we use. Not to say things because, not to open up too much superstition. But my father used to tell us, you have to be so careful with the words you use. There was once a man in his community when he grew up who would leave every morning at a certain time and come home at a certain time. One day he left, he came back, left, he came back. Like in the morning, he was just, I guess maybe he had a stomach ache, he ran back home. It's like sometimes things happen. So you left something at home, whatever it was. So one of the times he was leaving, his wife said, "What's going on?" He says, "This time I'm leaving, I'm not coming back." And he was hit by a train and never came back. So you got to be very careful with the words you use, right? People say, I'm never going there." Don't say never, and be careful what you say, right? It's like, if that happens, I'm dead, right? You got to be careful. You have to be so careful with the words we use, not to open up a doorway for for negative influences, negative powers, to use that against us. So we have to be very careful about that. Okay, I always tell my family, at least, like when someone goes away, right? This is the last time I'm going to see you, right? People say that before someone goes on a trip, right? It's the last time I'm going to see you on this trip. You have to be so careful to specify what you're talking about and be careful about that. All right, and it says also that a woman who is a woman of immorality, okay, who has a profession that is I don't know what you call it.
Lawful.
No,